tuned into the show
that informs, improves, and inspires racers everywhere.
The Northwest Race Report. The Northwest Race Report is brought to you by O'Hagan's Kart Supply, Lebanon, Oregon. You want to win? O'Hagan's wants to help. And by True Tech Automotive, Hazeldale, Washington. Get your car, truck, or tow rig repaired the right way, the True Tech way. And by Scott Seal Coat and Striping, Federal Way. For over 25 years, whether you're sealing or striping, you can count on Scott. And by Southern Oregon's karting headquarters, Speed City LLC, keeping racers on track with quality support and friendship. You're tuned in to the Northwest Race Report exclusively at terrybridges.com. And now back to your horsepower and performance hosts, Terry Bridges and Glenn Lippy Tower. Oh, what's going on, racers? We're here. Yes, we are. You were probably wondering what was up. We are here. I'm your horsepower and performance host, Terry Bridges, and you're tuned into another edition of the Northwest Race Report. With me tonight, two of the best in the biz. They are awesome. Mr. Glenn Lippy Tower. What is going on, Lippy?
It's all good in the hood.
And the loader, Mr. Dale Cali, or Dale Call. The loader. What's up, buddy?
Lucky to be here.
You got a haircut.
Yeah.
He did.
Beard trim.
It looks good.
Well, I had to do something for my wife's birthday.
Oh.
Now the real truth comes out.
Yeah.
We know.
And it's today, and she let me come to here.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
So
That was probably her present.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah, that's, wow. Hey, well, we got a great show for you tonight. Let's see. Who's P1, Lip?
It is Kyle Kenan.
No!
The Ripper comes in number 2.
King Kyle, P1. That's crazy.
Rusty King coming in 3rd.
That dude's on a roll.
Yeah.
Hey, how about Lori Fuller? Did you guys know she finished up her master's, her thesis this weekend for her master's degree. So she's gonna be really smart. So it's gonna be like yesterday I couldn't spell college grad. Today I are one.
Don't throw the hat down and stomp on it, Lori.
No, but that takes a lot of work. I mean, that takes a lot of dedication and stuff to do that. That's no easy chore. So congratulations, Lori Fuller. That is that's really cool.
She says it's her 2nd master's, Terry.
Oh, well, I don't know. She acts like I'm,
Hager in the house.
Oh, my second. Wow, 2nd master's. Well, then I guess it really isn't that big a deal.
I figure it is. I only went to 1 semester at college.
You got 2. Yeah, big deal. But we got a good show for you tonight. We're going to be talking a little bit about and not really trying to find the negative, just maybe kind of why numbers are down and why kind of what's wrong with the sport. I think it's been hit everywhere, and so we're going to do that. And we got some results. We're going to tell you who won what at the final indoor race at Salem. Not the final one, like it's going away, but for the Speedway guys. And so, we got some lapping with Lippy. We got some, I'm sure we got some ORV news. The loader's got some stuff. He always has the cool, kind of racing fact of the day that we do right before we close. So that's kind of a nifty deal. And just little odds and ends, bits and pieces, as we kind of transverse from the indoor to the summer, which
I am ready
for summer.
Yeah, it's been cool. Lippy's feeling a little bit under the weather, but I'll have you know he's here.
Absolutely. This cold stuff stinks.
Yeah, I think what it is, he's just tired from working on that mini bike.
It's coming along, buddy. Coming along.
That thing is orange.
Yes, it is.
Wow. So, some exciting news too. We picked up another sponsor for 2 months.
Woohoo!
And can you guess who it is?
I can because you told me, but somebody else should.
Can you guess? Just take a wild-ass guess. Scientific one.
I didn't even go to college. How can I have a scientific one?
No,
Lori, give me a guess.
It's Sea High Performance. They hooked up for 2 months, and they're going to be sponsoring our next segment. So, what do you think? Should we try to do it?
We should.
Let's do it. All right, this edition of Winter Circle Wednesday is brought to you by none other than the great folks at Sea High Performance, home of the Quick Stand, Superfly Wedge Body, Superfly Wedge Wings, and the Super Brake, and much more. So, Sea High Performance, they're the place you need to go when you want to be in the know. You know, to start things off, it's been a terrible week for just not good things. We lose Mike Clausen, who I didn't know very well, but I understand he was from the Midwest and a big engine builder, you know, for a lot, mainly more when it was IKF and stuff. But his passing, I guess, is a pretty big deal, pretty sad deal.
He was an innovator. There's no doubt about that. A man that shaped our sport in the early years.
Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah, he's a Speedway guy mainly, or.
Well, he was a motor guy, and I guess it probably did start in Speedway because that's where the majority was. But I think they finished up on the dirt, from what I understand. But I've only talked to his kids, so I never talked to him.
Wow, Craig Collins in the house. What is going on, Double C? That's awesome, man. Good to see you back. Hopefully the daughter's doing good. And then Volusia Speedway. Man, that was I don't know, I guess a car went into the fence and
well, last Wednesday night they had one went over the fence and into the crowd, and that was Joey Saldana. And then this last week, Dale Blaney went over the fence and actually ended up in the pits.
On top of people.
Yes.
Oh, it didn't kill anybody, did it?
No.
How does a car come over the fence onto somebody and not kill him?
Yeah, I'm sure it bounced off him, but it ended up being Jason Algire's crew chief for his modified that got ran over.
Oh, boy. That's too bad. Yeah, and then some of you, I don't know if you saw it on Facebook, but there's a racer named Sebastian Perez. He was in a shifter kart race on a temporary street circuit, and I don't know if you guys saw the hit. I did, and good God Almighty, it was a lick.
I could only watch it once.
It was like from full speed to basically nothing.
Stopped. Yeah.
And the kart was just a wadded mess. I mean, he broke many bones in his body, and I think he's still critical. I know he was just hanging on there for a while, but as you know, you're going to cure a lot of hospital bills with that. And he has a GoFundMe account that Terry Lawrence has started for him. They're already at like 2,500 of the 5,000. So big. It's too bad. It really is too bad. But you can go to www.gofundme.com/help Sebastian 48, and we'll give you that before the end of the show too, so you can go there. But if you can help out, reach deep. We got a racer in need, and boy, it's a bummer.
Well, in the drag racing world, though, Billy Glidden was doing some testing down in Florida with they got what they call the 10-inch nitrous cars, with a 10-inch wide tire. It shook the tires so hard it shot across the track, and it hit the guardrail, come back across and hit the guardrail. And in the process, he was knocked out, so they don't know whether he was first shot, whether the tire's shaken, but he was out and ended up like 5 ribs broken, bruised lung.
Wow. Well, it's been a bad week, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It has definitely been a bad week. Also, another local note: Scott Keeney lost his father-in-law. So keep that family in your prayers.
Oh boy, that's too bad. Yeah,
They've had some ups and downs lately with other family members, and now this to happen. It's a very trying time for them. So prayers are sent your way, Scott.
No, I don't think it was George Clausen. I think it was Mike Clausen that passed. Is that correct? That was my understanding.
Well, I believe it was George, not
Mike,
and not Mike. That's what I read, but I could be wrong. But
no, because I was talking to Chris today, and he said, "Did you know who Mike Clausen?" And I was like, "Well, yeah," but I don't know.
Maybe Renee can chime in on that.
Yeah,
one.
I don't know. I thought it said Mike, but because I was just looking at. Kelso, he says George, not Mike, right? So boy, I don't know. It's I thought it was Mike, but again, like I said, I could be wrong. Either way, it's a terrible loss, and
definitely.
But yeah, so if you can help out that, again, it's GoFundMe.com. Help Sebastian 48. I saw several Carters. That I knew that had already, donated some dough. So any amount will help. There was some $5 and $10 donations in there. So
yeah,
I'm sure.
So it was George, the father, that passed. 2 people confirmed that now. Thank you.
So it was George. Okay, sorry, Mike. We were trying to give you an out to get out of your taxes, but no. But yeah, that's tough to hear. I'm sure Mike is.
Yeah.
Not. That's a bummer. So yeah. So that is what's happening there. That's the bad news. The good news is, well, I'll tell you, the Northwest Mini Stock Tour, they picked up a new sponsor, and it's called Prove It. Have you heard much about Prove It? I mean, it's like a, I don't know what that other drink is, but it's a supplement that you pour into your water, right? And it's called Prove It, Pruvit, and Vicki Smith is the distributor around here. I'm sure it's an MLM thing, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, the product is probably very good. Renee may know something about this, but it's they have pure therapeutic ketones in them. And it's a packet that's got vitamins and all kinds of good stuff. It's supposed to give you, really good sustained energy and focus and help your digestion and, fat loss and all that good stuff. And they are going to be helping out the Northwest Mini Stock Tour. And they are going to be helping out the number 5 car, who is Donovan Stevens, who was the most improved driver on the series last year. So he'll be flying their colors on his number 5 Mustang. She added $1,000 to the awards money, and they're working out a deal now that they may be giving away a gift packet to somebody or to the winner of that every race. So that's a good deal, and they're going to be handing out little packets and water bottles to all the drivers on the series to help them be at their best. So. You can, if you want more info on it, you got to support that. She's supporting us, so it'd be cool to just go take a peek at it. You can go to Vicki Smith, VICKIE Smith.proveit, PRUVIT now.com. And you can find out more about these awesome, health alternatives to sodas and energy drinks and all that crap, But, well, I like them too. So, but hey, I mean, if, Donovan said he was taking them, and he said, I don't need a nap when I get home from work, and, I just feel I sleep better. So, I mean, it's worth, well, heck, a series picked up a sponsor. That's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Yes, it is.
And so Vicki Smith, I'm sure Donovan appreciates it, but, all of us do, because when we gain stuff like that, it's just another sponsor to help boast about, how good Motorsports is and why you should get behind it. So Vicki Smith, proveitnow.com. Thank you so much for helping out Donovan and the Northwest Mini Stock Tour. You know, and you guys do know I've been doing some interviews with their drivers, and it's been pretty cool. Have you had a chance to listen to any of them? Not, yeah, pretty.
No,
Terry Armstrong was great last night. You know, I talked to him. I don't. Do you know Terry Armstrong Jr.? God, what a great guy. You know, he was a Sportsman of the Year last year. But man, what a great. I mean, they're all been great guys. But I mean, I felt like I knew the guy for 30 years. You know, but you know, they only run like 6 races, I think, and you know, it was actually pretty good. They had. I'm looking at this. They had. They averaged 30 cars at every race. And they had, they had 3 different quick qualifiers, 11 different dash winners, 9 different heat race winners, 3 different B main winners, and 5 different feature winners. That's 5 out of the 6. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. It's a competitive class.
Yeah. And and then they've done some stuff with the rules, I guess, now to open it up to kind of make it.
Oh, they ruined it. Damn
No, I mean, they opened it up to make it so more, you know, so they're trying to get everybody to accept this same set of rules so that, you know, you can go anywhere and run. Now they're just enough different. So what they've done is they've kind of adjusted the rule package to let some of those cars that come from different places where the rules are a little bit different. Like one of them is you can put a Chevy, you know, you can put you know, it used to have to be Ford to Ford, Chevy to Chevy, all that. Now, if you want to put a Ford motor in a Chevy, you can do it, which I think is smart. I mean, what difference does that make, right?
Exactly.
You know? I mean, they're all going to be Pinto motors anyway, right? I mean, because that's really about all you can get parts for. I don't know, maybe not, but yeah. So that series is going to be taking off. I'm telling you what. There's a lot of big. A guy named Josh McMillan started it, and it was a dream, and because he kept asking at the Fall Classic, why aren't there any 4-cylinder cars here? So he asked if he could get them there. He says, if I get this class here over here, can I run? And they said, yeah. So what's he do? He shows up with 71 mini stocks. And from then on, he's in. I mean, right? You bring 71 mini stocks, I don't care. There's not a promoter in the world that's not going to say, you're welcome in my place anytime.
I just got to make more pit space, but that's okay.
But we're not going to bitch about that. We'll find a place for you. Even if it is next to the outhouse. But oh, well.
Been there, done that.
Yep. I mean, yeah. So good stuff for those guys. And that just goes to show you, if you have a dream, you can make it happen. And he's just a young kid. I think he's just early 20s or mid 20s, whatever. So, you know, I don't know. Salem. Yeah. It was turnout wasn't real good. I don't think anybody was astonished at that fact. What were some of the crazy things? Campos was running a Predator. I'm sure that thing didn't go near fast enough for him.
Well, I thought he was looking at one of them unlimited all-star carts there when I was seeing him that one weekend wandering around there, and he said he didn't think that was big enough to pull him.
Yeah, well, it would be much more than big enough to pull him, but I don't think he wanted any of that. Those things are a different breed. I mean, they are. But the other highlight was King Kenan was driving the Beard Motorsports KT entry. So he jumped from his 206 to the Yamaha, and I got to tell you, he was impressive.
Cool. Did well.
Yeah, that Kyle Kenan, you know, he's a bad man. No, he ran good. And Fuller won it. Sean Fuller won, and he looked good too. I mean, for as much as he gets to run, he impressed me the first time he ran down there too when I saw him run. But he won the first one, and then I think Kenan won, and then they came to the main, and all of a sudden Kenan disappeared. I'm like, what is going on? And he said, well, my neck was killing me. And he says, I felt some vomit coming on.
Oh, my.
So he said, I had to bail out. So that just shows you those Yamahas are a lot tougher than the 206. No, I'm just kidding. But, it's probably, when you don't eat good or, whatever. And excitement and nerves and whatnot. So that's, Fuller won Yamaha. Greg Normandin won the 206. And then he also wrapped up the championship there. Fuller won heavy. Let's see here. Garrison Ballantyne won the Junior 1. Junior 2 went to Brennan Gregg. And 206 went to Normandin. And I think that was about it. There wasn't a whole lot of... Kenny Boardman Jr. was there, the cage kart guy. And he was driving the Speed City UAS cart. And he was trying to drive it like a...
Cage kart.
Yes. And once he got her down, he actually was rolling it pretty good. I've got some video of it, and wasn't bad. Wasn't bad at all. I mean, he looked actually like he was right at home. I mean, he spun a few times, but it was just because he was trying to, drive that straight line in and then way in and then turn and just, stomp on it. Like it had a wing on it, yeah. And that wasn't working so good, but then it broke before the main, so he came out in the TT75 that they had, and he ran pretty good. I mean, Kenny Boardman Jr. is a wheel man anyway, so and I got a chance to talk to him a little bit. I had never really talked to him before, but good guy, pretty good wheel. So
what about Fart Cart?
Oh yeah, Vickers won that.
Ah.
Yeah, and he looked good.
And he's the one asking about it.
And he mowed. He beat Campos pretty solidly. I mean,
I think Gooding's a champ down there.
He is Richard Gooding. Yeah, and his brother puts on there. Quit bragging, because he's ticked. Dang it!
Good bunch of guys there.
Yeah, they are. And they're fairly. I mean, they're pretty green, right? I mean, Scott Keeney was there, too, and he had his new ride out. What a gorgeous ride, man. And it don't run half bad, but you can tell it wasn't what he was used to.
Yep.
Right? So, I mean, it takes a little while.
Oh, yeah, he'll get the bugs worked out of it.
And I would imagine, and you could probably tell me more, but coming from a straight rail to like a offset, there's a little bit different feel there, right?
Well, yeah, definitely, and he's probably a lot of setup too. If you try and set it up the same way he was setting up his other cart, it's not going to work. I watched a little bit of video, and I noticed he was having trouble on the exit, so it's an easy fix, but he just, he needs to spend a little time working on it.
Right, that's a, couple days with a full day practice or something, on a Friday night or something, whatever, or, well, not anymore, but, a track day, you probably get a lot of those worked out.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Because, I mean, those Exceeds are, they should be driving themselves by now. But much work as people done on them and stuff. But
oh, yeah. Well, and yeah, for the, I don't want to say lower horsepower, but I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's a lot for bolting the UAS car motor on them, but for any of the other classes, they're ideal. I mean, they work great. So
yeah, look at Wick in the CKA class.
Yeah. I
hadn't seen anything that fast in a long. I mean, that thing was railing.
Hauling the mail.
It was. And I also, in the news, as we were talking about it, I got a call today, for those of you interested out there. A guy's got a tire cutter for sale. It's one of those Larry Jones's tire cutters, right? I guess they're supposed to be pretty good. And he's got that and a spin balancer that'll do car tires, motorcycle tires, and all the way down to a 6-inch go-kart tire, a spin balancer. And I guess it's a good one. He says, I don't remember the name, but he says it's a darn good one. All that, both of those can be yours for $2,000.
Wow.
Well, if you go online and look at those Larry Jones deals, they're like $4,500 brand new.
Yep.
And you get that and the spin balancer for $2,000. And they've got some illness, and they're getting out of it, right?
Cleaning house.
And I know where it comes from, and they are front running people. They were gonna. He had just asked me not to announce anything. So, but if you're interested in that, $2,000, you get the cutter, you get the spin balancer. You can let me know, and I'll let him know, and get you all fixed up. But I just thought I'd put that out there. So yeah, that's kind of. You got any news? You got any? You got any mini bike news?
Carburetor showing up tomorrow.
Did you get that Burris mount to work?
Yep.
Good.
I got the Burris mount to work. I'm just about done with all my motor modifications now, so I'm just waiting on valve springs and a carburetor, and I'm changing from the cable brakes over to hydraulic brakes, which they'll be here on Friday. So.
Well, now is this for a pit bike, or so you can putt around the track?
Yeah, that's what I got it for. You know, I borrowed Tony, one of our guys we got in a couple years ago. He brought
Caruso.
One. Caruso, yes, he brought one, and it's just great for ORV. I have to run up to the front gate a couple times a day, and to try and find a vehicle or whatever that's not covered with mud or will start, which is both my problems. It's just nice to be able to hop on the mini bike and just run up there. So that's why I searched one out, found it, and then I had to make it my own. And Rusty saw me working on that. So the next thing I know, he calls me up when we had one of our snow days, and he's like, "Man, there's one just down the street from me. You got to go get it for me."
Well, I got something for you. You want to take that electric one I got? you can have. I got every. I mean, you can have everything there.
It was.
It's everything's there. I mean, the wheels. I mean, and there's two of them. There's two frames. There's two. I mean, there's two.
Electric buy-in what?
Those little scooters, and they were the oomph ones. I mean, they had a little more oomph than the oomph ones. I mean, they had more.
So for my size, I need two of them.
You
each cheek.
You would just need a lot of air in them. But no, I mean seriously, you can have them.
Oh, you never know.
You can take them with you and see if you can get them to work. I'm just not an electrical guy, and so for me, it's pointless. I mean, but anyway.
Take it down to Parker and have them hop the sucker up.
So that's what's going on. Just a tough week, man.
Yeah, it's been a tough one. I agree.
I don't know of any other races going on. We the big cage kart weekend's coming up this weekend.
Yep.
I don't know. Is that a 2-day one this weekend, or is it only 1 day? I don't know. Most of them were 2, but I think 2 days, right? 2 days. So, and how that works is they run the kids during the day up to the 250s, and then at night they run the dwarfs and the mini stocks and then the 500s and stuff. So, yeah.
Tony says mini bike drags at ORV.
Yeah, there's been a lot of scuttle about that, definitely. So,
Tony Williams, I'm building a mini bike. Kyle, LOL, March 5th. Oh yeah, PGP LO 206. If you haven't been up there, I don't know if it's an arrive and drive deal or not, but they've got one of those deals where you can use one of their deals up there. But I think this is the 206 thing, so it's a little bit separate. But April 2nd too. You can go to PGP, and they've got a big money race up there on the 2nd. And I think I'm going to be there for that one to be calling it on the 2nd. So, yeah, that'd be
nice.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I haven't seen a lot of those guys in a long time, and PGP's a cool place. Have you ever been there?
I haven't. They just went and did a 200 or 150 lapper last weekend up there, and they had 26 people sign up pre-entry.
Was that on the oval?
That was on the oval.
Yeah.
In the rentals, and one of our own there, Tyler Homestead, he podiumed on that.
Third, yeah, I saw that. That's
And that was from the back of the field because he registered late, so he went from the back of the pack all the way up to third.
Well, Brian Williamson was up there.
Oh, really?
Earlier in the year,
Oh,
they
yeah.
They went and did some testing up there, and man, what would be wrong with that?
Yeah, it'd be good times, definitely.
I haven't seen the track. I don't know how big it is, but
it's not that big. But for a 206 or something like that, it's fine. We can't run any 2-strokes there. But
could you run a UAS on it? I'm just kidding.
No.
Seriously, you couldn't?
Nah, I think it's too small for that.
Right. So yeah. So that brings us top of the hour. Renee, we need to get with you so we can figure out our day that we're going to be at Angel Racing up in Woodinville. And so I would we'll find out more details, let you guys know, but I'm sure if you want to come and listen, you'll be more than welcome to do that, hang out, be in our live studio audience, and that'd be pretty neat. Jeff, what do you got? You got anything newsworthy? Any scuttlebutt, you know?
I have some, but I'm not going to say it on the air.
He's saving it.
Why not? What's it about?
Something we've been wanting to know about.
Okay.
I finally got the.
All right,
I got the scoop.
That's cool.
But
well,
better not give it out.
You know, then you want to go. Well, we're going to talk about tonight. You know, one of the other questions I had, maybe we could address this one quickly, was after seeing that wreck of Sebastian Perez, right? It made me ask the question of. Do racetrack is there any kind of statute or you know rules and regulations as to what their minimum duties are as a racetrack? I mean, you look at that, you know, and you say, "Wow, man, you know, this guy, you know, he didn't do this." You know, I would think that there would be some sort of, and it made me think, what about around here? I mean, even in the big car stuff. I mean, is there a set, you know? Maybe
insurance dictates most of it,
right? But when you're building a racetrack, there has to be some precautions already, like you know, bare minimums. I mean, obviously you got to have walls, but I mean, you know, it makes you ask that question: what are there any minimum deals? And then I also think that at the end of the day, it's still on the racer. You need to walk the track, do whatever, and if you feel it's unsafe, then you probably shouldn't roll it. I mean, and that was one of the other things, you know, they were saying, well, you know, he was kind of, you know, forced to do, you know, this or that. But, you know, I don't know that, hey, if you feel that strongly that something's unsafe,
don't do it.
You shouldn't do it. And so I think ultimately, to some degree, it does fall on the racer to maybe walk around and at least bring it to the attention. I don't know, Lip, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, Jeff's right. A lot of it is dictated by our insurance. They tell us where the fences have to be, how close, how high, whether they have wire strung along the top and the bottom. I'm talking of chain link. You know, where our pit accesses are, where our spectator accesses are. I mean, all that stuff is all dictated to us in our insurance if you have insurance. So that's a lot of where all of that comes from. But going back to the road race circuit, it's harder to do because let's face it, it's roads, it's streets, it's our community that they decided to do this in. So it's a little harder, but I think as an organization, you know, that's when it's our responsibility to do that, like you said, to walk it, to decide what goes where, and that's what was said a lot on that crash down there is, you know, that thing should have been surrounded by either tires or hay bales because it was on a turn, and it was, you know, way too close to the circuit. So, you know, that's probably what should have happened. It didn't, so there's no changing it now, but, you know, that's one of the reasons why we don't get to do that as much as we used to be able to, just because of what happened to that poor gentleman.
Right, and I'm looking at some of the messaging, and I understand it was a street course, and it does, but still, though, I mean, it makes you ask the question even for the other tracks that we run, like, you know, set up go-kart tracks. So, like, for example, ORV or anywhere, the track is already there, right? So they're going to dictate, you know, I mean, I don't know of any, you know, like Lebanon, there were no walls other than the front stretch.
Oh, yeah. I can remember cars into the cars.
Yeah.
You know,
that's a sick feeling going up over that thing too.
Or going over off in turn one and coming back up in the backstretch.
Yeah. Been there and done that. Thought I was going in the pond, you know, but that I mean, I don't know. It just made me stop to think, you know, we don't think about that stuff until you get
something happens.
so you get a tragedy like this, and then you start thinking, wow, and even then sometimes you just don't even ask it because I started sitting there thinking, I was like, man, I wonder, I don't, you don't read about mandates or to code for like a racetrack. It makes you wonder. So what are their minimums? I mean, what I mean, at this point, there has to be something because shoot, anything that happened, they could get their pantsuit off. I mean, so.
Well, and that's why a lot of them sign waivers, and you're signing your life away. But sanctioning bodies, that's what their job is basically, is to try and do that. Because you're right, as far as tracks go, it's open field. They pretty much build what they want to build, and there's no real blueprint, or even a county or state organization that oversees it or mandates it or tries to, at least not here in Washington, because they won't even let us build anything. But there isn't anything, so it's just easier to say no. Here you can't do it because then there's nobody to regulate. There's nobody
Right.
to do anything to say what's safe and not safe. So.
Yeah, chime in if you got some, and I agree with Ricky Worley. He says, a chicane at a tree, you got to be out of your mind. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, so I mean, I think a lot of it is common sense, right? I mean, you've got to say, okay.
And I think a lot of it too is, I'm not sure who put the race on, but as an organization, I would walk the track looking for the worst case scenarios. I wouldn't just walk it like, yeah, this is going to be good. Yeah, this will be a good place for a turn. No, you have to think about it as worst case scenarios because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
really.
it is. I mean,
and it don't have to be a street course. I was running cage cart down at South Sound, and we had a guy with a shifter cart come out of the corner and slap the wall right as you come out on the track there in turn 4. Busted his helmet, was in the hospital for 18 days.
Wow. Yeah.
But was that the track's fault? I mean, was the wall not right, or was the? I mean,
with a go-kart on that track as fast as you're going, those areas should have been hay baled.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody after that, we all just, I mean.
And I said the same thing. They said, well, they should have had hay bales or tires or something in there. But then it made me think, well, then you have the scenario of, okay, so he hits those bales, and then he goes back onto the race course in front of those other guys, and he takes out, 3. I mean, so I guess, the scenario never ends. There was always something that you could. I guess the worst case scenario could have happened, right? So then he goes back on the track, gets smacked, and 3 or 4 other guys get involved, and now it's instead of one guy, you got 20 guys that are hurt. Yeah, so it's a bad deal anyway, but it just made me think that.
Yeah, Ronnie, I was there. You were right. It was Tino. This guy was crazy. I'm not kidding you. The one that hit the wall. Ronnie said he was who it was, and it.
Ronnie
Cox.
Oh, he knew him?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Dick's Racing, they said he was there when it happened. So
yeah,
that's and it was really kind of unfortunate. I mean, but the things are going so fast with it. Them shifter cart. I mean, we're going plenty fast with a cage cart around there.
Right. Daryl Kelsel says Grand Island Grand Prix has been running a long time. And this isn't a blast on anybody. It just made me think. Makes you go, I wonder. You don't hear much about the racetrack. All you hear about is you have safety gear and helmets and all that stuff, but you don't really think much about the actual track. And like Lippy said, there's no code for how much dirt you got to have behind the wall, or what the walls have to be made of, or should they overlap or not overlap. I mean, so I don't know. It just.
I think the part of the point we're missing is we all know what we're getting into when we get in whatever it is we're racing. We should know that that something bad could happen to us. None of us want that to happen, but we should know that, and
right. And that's one of the other things is as tragic as this is. That is the key point. Is that there's a possibility. He ran it in practice, and there was never a mention of that chicane being by a tree or anything. So now when something does happen, how do you justify going after them and saying, well, geez, if they wouldn't have put this there, you know. So, I mean, that's what I mean. It's I don't know that there's any good way of, I mean.
Well, it still comes down to its racer responsibility, in my opinion. You don't like it, don't run it.
And that really what it should boil down to. I mean,
or bring it to somebody's attention that can change it.
Right,
You know?
right. So, anyway,
again, we're not pointing blame.
no, we're not. It just opened my eyes to some questions that, you know, people don't. I mean, you don't hear much about tracks until you know, unless it's a bad thing,
Right.
and then you know, then it's all of a sudden it's the racetrack's fault. Well, I don't know that it is.
That's just like the deal with Volusia. You had 2 sprint cars went clear over the fence. Oh, it's the racetrack's fault. But yet, as Roger Crockett says, it's the same. They got the same walls, same fence configuration as they have at Cottage Grove. They just don't allow people right behind it. These people are standing against it. So
Yeah, see, that's I mean,
it's, you know.
I mean, that is on the racetrack there for
Yeah.
letting them stand there, right?
Yeah,
But
they took the stands out and closed the area the next day.
Yeah.
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 So, yeah, bummer. Well, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Racing. It's preparation. It's focus. It's attention to detail. And when you try to take shortcuts, it shows. At Speed City, Southern Oregon's karting headquarters, distributor for Ultramax, Legend, QRC, Bell Helmets, and K1 race gear, they don't roll like that. Speed City is committed to roll the way champions roll, by keeping racers on track with knowledge, integrity, and performance. No shortcuts, no negativity, no other motives. You don't just have their word on it, you've got their name on it. So get back to having fun and get to calling Speed City. Speed City, LLC, keeping racers on track with quality service and friendship. 541-531-1222. All right, so we're back, and, you know, my 2 cents, we're going to talk about kind of, you know, I don't know if we talk about what's wrong. That sounds maybe, I mean, it's right, but it maybe is a little bit negative. I don't know. It's just, what is the state of motorsports? And what, you know, what can we do to help it along? I mean, you look at the Rotax stuff and the sprint stuff, and I don't know, the Rotax, everybody says, that this is garbage, and you know, they're changing the rules again. You got to buy this update kit and blah blah blah. But yet, throughout of it all, they still have numbers that are astonishing, and people are still, you know, and they don't even run for money. You know, I think I read one of the posts on here. I think it was Vickers that put on here. It says, you know, one of the problems is there's no money, right? You're not. One of the problems is let's see, where is that? I don't know. But anyway, yes, the biggest reason low car count is no payouts. If you don't have anything to win besides the sticker, no one will come. Well, I don't know how long Michael Vickers has been involved in karting. I mean, maybe a long time, but I know for the longest time, there were no payouts. There wasn't any payout unless you went to a pro race, but those were few and far between. I mean, you race for a trophy. I mean, it's just now that everybody's gotten spoiled with you know, the speedway stuff where you get the payouts and payback stuff. They still don't do that in the sprint side of it.
We go round and round in our club meetings about that, and I'm against it because I see what happens, and it makes people drive over the top of people to win $100, and I just don't see the point in it. But you know, a lot of people say that's what brings in the big numbers, but it to me it just breeds bad racing. But
well, I don't know. I mean, there was a free offer of free entries, and nobody showed up. I mean, you didn't have to pay to go race, and nobody showed up.
Yep.
So is it truly the money? I mean, I can't say that it is. I mean, and then you got, I mean, here's the bottom line. I mean, to me, well, one of the things is this, and that brings up my first one: risk taking versus support of risk. Right. So no promoter or whatever is gonna go out and stick their neck out on the limb. And I know you can't get 100% of feedback, but I mean, they're not going to go stick their neck out on a limb to on a maybe, or I might get 25. I think the racers have to start deciding they're going to support something and then support it, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can't blame like Bob for not doing Albany anymore. The turnout was atrocious.
Yep, I agree.
I mean, it's sad, but it's true. And those cage car guys, they're the ones that got it switched over to the day show. Well, shame on them if they knew they weren't going to come. Why would you do that? I mean, if you tell somebody you're going to do, hey, change it and we'll come. That way we can run both, the day and the night show. Really? Well, where was everybody? I don't know. That was just one. And now this one may be, some may argue this, but it says, I believe that the series and associations should have maybe try to envelop more racer input, kind of like the Northwest Ford Focus Midget Series does, and now what is happening at the Northwest Mini Stock Tour. That whole association, that whole series is run by the racers. So they race, but the president races, the VP races, the West Side representatives race, and so they're all working to run the series as well as competing in it. So it's more or less everything is voted on, and you go, well, shoot, that makes sense to me, because it's like now, number one, it polices itself within reason, and number two, it's now racers have a vested interest in how the series goes. It's just not,
it's not a dictatorship.
Yeah, that's the exact word I use too. Yeah,
and a lot of people appreciate that. They like to be heard. They like to be participatory, and they like to see change. So when it is a dictatorship and it's done my way or the highway, it's not always the best thing,
right? And then you have, because you do have some of those promoters that say, well, here's the rules. Well, you're not running it. I mean, you're taking their money at the gate, but what do you care? What do you care what the rules have to be? As long as it's a good show and whatever. So I mean, why wouldn't that be more of what goes on? I mean, the racer input, rather than saying, okay, here's the rules, you either like them or you don't, whatever. Well, that doesn't make sense to me, does it?
No, it seems like you would just chase people away doing that.
Right, but isn't that the way it's kind of done now?
Renee says they don't vote on anything with the midgets.
Oh, they don't. But they get input, though.
Yeah.
And so by that, essentially you are voting. I mean, if you put it out there and you say, hey, we're thinking about putting in, a new tire, da-da-da-da-da. I mean, what are your thoughts? And everybody says, boo, no way, no, and it's almost a majority. Are you going to put the tire in anyway?
Yeah, this is true.
Right? So, I mean, some things I guess you have to be able to draw the line on, right? But, I mean, because otherwise it goes around and around and somebody's going to have to make a call. But, I mean, at least it gives you an idea of what the majority wants and whatever. The second, and this was one of the ones, too, like, and this is more to the places that have clubs and whatever, but even if you've got a search, everybody wants to race, but not too many want to help out with the club or organization. I think more participation needs to be there. And Lippy, I'm sure you probably have a very strong opinion on this.
Well, yeah, definitely, and that is what's lacking with our sport. Everybody does have a voice, but nobody wants to give any time. So it is a double-edged sword, and it may come down to like what the quarter midgets do, and that is, you're 2 races a year, you're a worker. That's all there is to it, and you have to put in 2 of them a year.
Yeah, well, they have got to deal wherever they got to switch those judges or whatever. They got to have 3 different ones all the time. But Well, and on the flip side of that, I think too the clubs and organizations. I mean, they're run kind of podunk. They're not run super professional, and I think that would inspire. You got this board on some of them, and it's like, for what? I mean, you're on the board, okay, great, but I mean I think that's there to facilitate things along, or come up with new things, or try new ideas, or fundraisers, or something where I don't know, but and also like the UAS deal, you sign up a membership. What perks do you get for that? I mean, so you get your name in the list of, you get your name in there, and you get national points, for that. Is that really a perk? I mean, I'm thinking that better come with it, right? I mean, I don't know, and I'm not trying to be now. I'm just pointing out, what perks do you get? Do you get a break on your entry when you go somewhere?
This has been a point at our club meetings. Yeah, what is the point of paying your dues to be a member if there isn't any perk to it? Because you're right. At this point there isn't any perk to it, and that's what's been brought up at our meeting. Is that people they think that there should be $10 off your entry, or whatever the case may be. There should be a perk for being a member. So
yes and no.
Yeah, well,
because
exactly.
if you're not a member and you don't support it, you have no place to race.
Yeah.
You got, these tracks aren't free, as you know from what you just went through.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing, especially when you're a club going in. Your club participation and your money is what gets you the place to race.
That's a very, very, very legitimate point. I mean, but yet, you hate to run anybody away, because you get them for the non-membership price. But yeah, I so now then, I guess that doesn't cover. I mean, obviously you can't be a member to every club, but one would think that your home club you would be wanting to support that. But there again, that's what I'm talking about, the board. That's what that board is there for, is to come up with, okay, how do we do this? Let's put our heads together, and what perks are we going to give for the membership deal, right? And go from there. I mean, there's a lot of clubs, believe me. There's a lot of clubs that you get these people, and it's just a big it's just a big,
the good old boys.
Yeah. And they'll run you out if they want. They don't like something or whatever, I mean, it's all kind of looking out for maybe an interest, so to speak, or whatever. So, that's it. And then my last one was, I don't think, if we're talking about really kind of what's wrong, I don't think the tracks work enough together.
Definitely.
I mean, it's too much individual scheduling and, over other stuff. And so you go down to this track and you can't have this or that. And the motor rules are just enough different. So that, it's a joke, especially in karting. I mean, you want to have, even at the grassroots, I mean, you want to have rules that are, so a guy doesn't have to totally rearrange his car to go run at your place, for God's sake. It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I don't know. Chime in. I don't.
Well, no, absolutely. I mean, there was a time. It's getting better around here as far as kart racing goes, but I know Jason's really having a tough time down in his area and south of him, where they're not working together. They'll have meetings and people will all show up and they'll discuss their dates, and they'll say when he's going to have what. And then the next week, somebody south of him decides to throw races on all his race dates,
Yeah, that's just ridiculous. Why would you do that?
And that's what I don't understand. And you're only hurting all the entries, because then you're making people choose.
That's right. And there's not enough numbers to have a division like that. I mean,
exactly.
It's stupid. It's just stupid. And that's why I say, I think, there's that WARPA deal and all that. And, whatever. But I the Gold Cup does one thing. They do it really good. And they have at the end of the year, they always have they used to call it the tie because it was up here at the tie Inn or whatever the thing was, but it's at the Emerald Casino now, and they have a deal when they do their awards banquet. That's on Saturday night. Saturday morning and Sunday morning, they get together in the conference room, and all the clubs have a couple, 2 or 3 or 1 or whatever it is, representatives from each club, and they've got a big thing on a big easel on the board, and they say, okay, it's like a calendar, and they say, okay, you get first pick, Loader. What are your race dates going to be? Or when would you like to have your Gold Cup and, whatever like that. So you've kind of got your local schedule that you've already made for your track. And so you can kind of say, well, I'd like to have the July one. Okay. Next, right? And then they do that, and then they do that, and then they go over rules. They go over any changes. They do all their voting. They do all this stuff in this weekend. And then they have the banquet Saturday night, and then on Sunday they come back and do any finished business or whatever. Why couldn't the same thing happen around here for the indoor stuff? You get Roseburg, and you get, Red Bluff's going to do their thing and whatever, but even still, you would invite them because you'd want to see what they're doing and stuff too. But what would be wrong with spending one weekend? I mean, Jason's got what? He's got the inn with the Hampton or the Shiloh. So you say, hey, we need to use your room. We're going to, everybody's going to kind of stay. We're going to do a thing, whatever, and have a little promoters conference there where you go over schedules, and like you would be down from CKA and you'd get maybe Cully over from Idaho, and everybody get together and talk about, and anybody else that want to come in there and talk about the schedules and get it going and saying, hey, we're having a big race on this date. We'd like to, make sure that that's free. Sure. Okay. How about you? Well, we got a date on this date. We won't schedule anything over that. If it's like cage carts versus 206 or whatever, right? I mean, you don't have to really do that. But if you've got a huge cage cart event and you run cage carts, you don't want to run on the same day, right?
Exactly.
It's kind of like, I don't know who was doing that. They were running the same day as the Buddha. Well, now, why would you do that?
Yeah.
I mean, why? I don't know. That was so. Anyway, those are some of my points on maybe what's wrong and how we could fix it, but and those are probably just the tip of the iceberg. I don't know if you guys got anything out there. I would love to hear from you. I know you guys are chit-chatting away here, but
you're making me hungry.
Yeah,
we're talking food.
Yeah, so maybe that's what's wrong. Maybe there's not enough snack shacks at the.
Yeah, no sprinkles.
Right? I mean,
or cookies.
So here's the deal: should ORV be allowed a concession stand over by the cart track instead of having to march clear over there to that burger stand over there?
No.
Why?
Because they'd have to make me run it, and I'm not going to do it.
Well, no, but if you could get somebody...
Hold it. Don't you have enough to do?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. I've got enough to do. I don't want to run concessions.
Well, maybe O'Hagan could run it.
Yeah,
he could sell parts and do concessions.
Parts and burgers.
Yeah.
With a dog on the side.
The people we used to have there, the Kirkhams, they used to always do that. They would bring down either chili or soup or something, and they would have the parts, and you could buy a bowl of something there, and that was always awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So I don't know. So see, Cully says I didn't schedule anything for Idaho in August, so that we could hit the Boop race.
He did. He even let me know that ahead of time.
And then that's awesome, right? Because that's what you want. And so hopefully, in turn, we all go over there.
Definitely planning on that
and support his stuff. That's how it has to work. I think.
I agree.
Especially when the numbers are on the lower side.
Well, yeah, and our tracks are so few and far between that actually cater to us as kart racers that, yeah, I mean, Rusty and I are definitely looking on traveling more this year just because of that. We sent less races on our schedule just because of that, so we can try and travel to these other places and support other shows rather than just cram in as many races as we can.
Now, I know Jason has done something where their stuff's on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I think that's a smart move.
Is it? I saw the good and bad in that. Other than the long trip home,
But also remember Fridays. How many people are working on Fridays?
Exactly.
And I know for a fact my cousin, his kid's got a cage kart. They don't get to go because he don't get home in time on Friday.
Right.
So they just pretty much had parked it.
Right. Well, and it depends how many you have. I mean, I think on a Friday night, why couldn't you start the show at 7 or whatever? I mean, I don't know. My guy could probably still. But if you're coming from any distance, that's the. And that was the other thing I thought on Sunday too. Is okay. So you're going to get the local guys, no problem. That's going to be great. But anybody with any kind of a drive isn't probably going to like that too well, right? If you got to work on Monday, but. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I
put it out there and asked about that for up here because we had a chance to get on Rainier's Sundays after their Saturday races, which the track had already be prepped and everything like that. And I got a big pushback. People, just said we're not coming. We don't want to race on Sunday.
And that's
but they don't really. You have an option down there. You can race Friday or you can race Sunday. Because you're not going to race Saturday night because the big cars are there.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
So don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back with some Lapping with Lippy. The 3 most expensive things you'll do in your life are buy a house, educate your kids, and go racing. What you don't need is another expense, and that's why you take your car and tow rigs to TruTech Automotive to ensure that they are maintained and repaired the right way with the right parts at the right price. And how's this for right? Extended to all racers is the In the Family 25% discount off of all preventative maintenance and repair labor. All you have to do is use the discount code NWRR to save. Now that's right. Get it done the right way, the TruTech way. TruTech Automotive, 6900 Northeast Highway 99, Hazeldale, Washington. 360-571-2302.
Hey everybody, this is Glenn Lippy Tower, and welcome to Lappin' with Lippy.
Why didn't you tell me that? Are we back? Yeah, we are back. God, does Lippy have to read that all over again? I think he does. Oh, oops.
Where were we?
Where were we? We got yeah. We gotta do it again. So we're gonna hustle this one back. Here we go.
Hey everybody, this is Glenn Lippy Tower, and welcome to Lappin' with Lippy. All right, everybody, I'm not sure what happened there. We had the volume down, and so you guys didn't get to hear all of my spiel. So we're going to do it one more time, but a little bit faster this time. So today's Lappin' with Lippy is brought to you by Scott Seal Coat. If you need anything sealed or striped, give us a call at Scott Seal Coat, and we'll stripe it or seal it, whatever your needs are. If you're getting ready for a
refinance?
Thank you. A refinance on whatever you got and you need it to look really good, give us a buzz and we can come in there and clean those sidewalks, curbs, and everything else out, pressure wash it up, rinse it all out, and make it look real nice so when the bank gets there, they like to see it. It is not sealing weather or striping weather, but we can certainly make things look pretty or get you on the books to get it done when the summer gets here. So give Scott Seal Coat a call and we will take care of you. So on that note, I'm on to what I think is wrong with people nowadays. So, in today's society, we get everything whenever we want it, whenever we want it. It's gotta have it attitude. That's what we all have, is a gotta have attitude, gotta buy it out of the box, gotta bolt it on there and go as fast as I can, as well as I can. I'm not just talking about money here either, which money is a whole nother show, but money does make the world go around, definitely, but that's not what I'm talking about. So back to what I think. People always say this to me: it doesn't work, it won't work, my cart won't work, it won't turn, my engine won't run right, everything just doesn't want to work. So me being who I am, I start investigating and trying to extract as much information as I can out of said person, so you know the why it won't work. Because if you can figure out the why, then you can make it work. And that's just the problem nowadays. People just don't want to do that. They don't want to think for themselves. They don't want to try and analyze anything. They don't want to try and figure anything out. It's just easier to throw your hands up in the air and say, it won't work. It just won't work. But that's not the way it's supposed to be, people. You have to think for yourselves. You have to start trying to do that. You have to figure out why it's doing what it's doing, and that they don't want to do that. They just want to, buy it and bolt it on and go, and they don't actually want to try and think things through or how does it actually work. It's just stuff, people. It's nuts and bolts. There's steps that have to be made, and before you say you can't figure it out, you gotta figure it out. You gotta figure out the why, and if you can't, that's when you ask somebody for the answer or ask them what they think to try and figure out what the answer is. And then you come to somebody like me and I'm going to pick your brain because I'm not going to just give you the answer, because sometimes I don't know and other times I want you to try and figure it out. I want you to think about it. You have to think things through. You have to, start figuring out why things work, what makes things work. I've got plenty of things around my garage that I've torn apart just to figure out how they work. Some of them get put back together and some of them don't. But I figure out why they work, what they do, and what makes them tick. And that's the important thing, is you have to think for yourself. You have to think things through. You know that this does that to make this work. So once you figure that out, then you'll know why that doesn't work. But that's always what it is. You have to figure out the why. Then it will work. So this is it's a life lesson that doesn't always just doesn't always relate to go-karting, but that's what I do, so that's why I'm relating it to it. This can go into life as itself, and other things in your life that aren't working. Look into it and try and figure out why they're not working. And once you figure out the why, here we go again, then you can figure out the what does make it work and not the why won't it work. So I know in some cases, people probably just don't want it to work, and I guess I understand that. But for me, I'm very mechanical. I like to figure everything out. I want to know why. It's always easier for the why for me than it is the won't. So be a thinker and don't just give up. Try and figure it out. That's the best thing that you will be a better person, a better racer, and a better everything if you'll just figure out the why and stop saying it won't.
Yes, I agree. And you not to give up. You can't quit. You got to know what you want to ask too, and where you want it. Right? There's nothing worse than somebody asks a question. You say, "Well, what's it? Tell me what it's doing." Well, I don't know. It just won't turn. Okay. Well, why won't it? What do you mean it won't turn? Well, I don't know. It just won't turn.
Yep. No, I've had that story before, that I've talked about where sitting around the fire and the guy said just that to me, just it won't turn. So then I had to go into my who I am and digging in and, where won't it turn? Well, it won't turn. Well, okay, does it do it on entry? Does it do it in the center of the corner? Does it do it on exit? And then I had to explain all that stuff, which is fine. I don't mind doing all that. But and yes, it did make the gentleman think. And he is a much better racer because of it nowadays. And he comes to me much more educated now with his questions he has. And it makes it easier for me to answer what he has and get right to the problem. Whereas before, you're exactly right. I don't know. It just won't turn. So it's not hard. Like I said, it's nuts and bolts, people. It's not that hard to do. You just, even if it's a motor, you have to start analyzing things. What are the 3 things you got to have for a motor? You got to have spark, you got to have compression, you got to have fuel. If you don't have any of those, it's not going to work. Those are the 3 things you want to look for when you got a problem with your motor. And then once you find out that I've got fuel and I've got compression, but okay, I'm missing spark. Well, there you go. Now we got to figure out why. So
Ricky Worley says both isn't wrong. Bolt it on and go is good because it helps get newer people in the sport without too much headache. However, there should be a transition to learning how and why and understanding. Just my 2 cents.
No, I agree, and it is. I'm not against anything being bolt on. Believe me, I like easy. I do, but it's just that people will buy something and bolt it on, and when it doesn't work, then there's a big problem. It's easier in go-karting and drag racing. It's horrible. I don't care what you buy, nothing bolts on. Even if it says it's supposed to, it doesn't bolt on.
You got to rebuild it.
Yeah, you got to rebuild it and then make it work once you get it all on there. It's just and go-karting's not that bad, so it's easier for me. But yeah, it's just I'm all about bolt-on, believe me. But that's what's bred the problem we have is people aren't thinkers because they have been able to bolt it on for so long that when they do have a problem, they just throw their hands up in the air and go sit in the stands. And that, to me, is just the worst.
Well, and Phil Fow does a good thing when he sells. And I remember listening to this all the time. But somebody buy a new cart, and they want to know all these questions. Well, what should I do? Phil would just tell them, go drive your go-kart. Just go drive it for 2 or 3 weeks. All those questions that you thought you had, 95% of them are going to get answered if you just go drive your go-kart.
Oh yeah. And
then you can come back, like you said, a little more educated and be able to, hey, I don't really understand this, or really, now you can get some good help. I don't know. That's a good thing. But
just think for yourselves, people. Don't give up.
Absolutely. We'll be, hang tight. We're going to be back with the loader here in, well, you know what? We're going to do it right now.
We're tracking and packing around the Northwest with the loader, Jeff Eden. Well, got a little, and you guys are prime example. You run, most of you run pavement or you run dirt. I don't know all you guys well enough to know how many do both, but there's a gentleman back in Georgia named Bubba Pollard. Bubba travels around with his late model asphalt car and just picks races that he knows that if he wins, ends up in 5th place, it pays for his trip. He's won big races. He's won in Monroe, Bakersfield, all the big late model races he's won at on the West Coast, through the Midwest and back east. And then his dirt car, he back in the Georgia area, he wins with it. And I found a comparison here, and it to where a guy would think about how hard is it to do both. And so I'm going to start out here with the pavement. The pavement, their schedule at the race day. Your bigger races, they start really early. You're practicing. You get lots and lots of practice times. And your feature races are going to be 50 to 100 laps. On the dirt, you pretty much pull in the gate. You might get 4 or 5 practice laps. You get a few hot laps. And then you go to your heat races. And one of the things that he says in here, with the dirt, be ready to practice, be aggressive, and you have to be able to think quick on your feet because you don't have a lot of time for adjustments. And I definitely agree with that. And the track conditions with the asphalt, as the sun gets on the track, it's going to get greasy. Cloudy, cooler day, you're going to have a lot of grip. And the temperature difference is going to make how much rubber you got on the track and what you got to adjust to. Let's go to the dirt. Well, you start off wet, so you got lots of traction. As the evening goes along, you're going to start drying out. It's going to take rubber, and then it's going to become slick. So you got 2 different ways of thinking about how you're going to do things. The brakes on a late model are as important as the engine is. You use them to slow. You use your motor to slow down. You lose your brakes to slow down. It's very important with the late model to have good front brakes because as you apply the brake, that puts the nose down on the ground and keeps your downforce as you're coming through the corner. Everything on these cars with the brakes is big. Go to the dirt cars. The brakes are actually a form of traction control because as the track slicks off, you're going to drag that brake, keep the car up on the bars to where you got your chassis set and you can keep going forward. So they run a lot of smaller, lighter stuff. The tires is a really big thing because these asphalt guys are paying an astronomical amount for their tires. But most tracks they're dictating what you're doing. So you're going to run a spec tire. So what you have is air pressure and stagger. That's all you got to work with. You don't have a choice. That's what you got to do. And the tires, basically, they're a one and done deal. So the tires, then, as you go back onto the dirt, most tracks give you an option. Around here, it's the Hoosier D60s, and then again, you're working off of air pressure and stagger. That's with IMCA, you can sipe them and you can grind the tires. With the late models, you can groove them, do whatever, really, basically what you want. So at that point, and the tire, the G60 is about $110, and the asphalt tire is about $300. So there's quite a difference in that portion of it. Another one of the costs with the pavement car is you get to run radios and mirrors, and with the dirt cars, not allowed.
Oh.
So and then kind of towards the end of things, you're going to come around to adjustments. And, going through everything that you got, race day adjustments for the late models, basically you're going to be doing bump stops, geometry, A-frames, spindles, wedge, sway bars. Your bump stops with your left front and your right rear, you're doing your springs. And one of the things with the pavement late models is you keep your weight low. Lower the better. Adjustments to the dirt car is the right front to left rear. So we're going completely opposite. You want to lean on the right front tire on the dirt. So then you focus more on the left rear by moving the bars, the J-bars, shocks, sliders, not so much with the slider, but the shocks and the bars. And if you got to add ballast with these cars, you put the ballast as high as you can. You want to roll center in the thing. So, and one of the biggest things with the dirt is your driver is one of your main adjustments because he moves. He will move to where the traction is throughout the evening.
Interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. I like the part about it says you got to be able to think quick on your feet because you don't have a lot of practice time. And that's where a list, I think, comes in handy, right? Where you go there and you say, well, if it's too tight, these are the first 3 things we're going to do. And if it's too loose, these are the first 3 things we're going to do. Now you don't even have to think. You're just going to go, yep, let's go, boom, boom. You ready? Yep, we did it. Where you go? If that don't work, we go to the, So that's...
And the guy I run with the modified, that's the way we are. We have it's already a pre-game deal.
Right. You know what you're going to do.
And then if those couple items don't work, then we throw the hand grenade at it and go for the big
There you
swing.
go. There you go. and I think that is, yeah. So, hey, yeah, and if you're wanting to know where, find a place to race, you can check out Northwest Kart Dates. They're located at northwestkartdates.wixsite.com/NWKARTS Kart Dates. So check them out. He's got a pretty cool site, and they're going to be sponsoring that 206 event up there at in April, the money race.
Oh, nice.
So, you know what, Lippy? What might be cool? Show up and run that thing. I mean, you said I've always wanted to maybe just try it, and see. Who knows? It might give you a whole different perspective and a chance to win some money.
Money.
I'll bet you, and I know, Huggy'd be there, so he gets you dialed in and help get you dialed in. And boy, I can just see it now. Legend wins road race.
Or stinks the place up.
Well, I mean, no, but who cares? I mean, you just be there to kick it. I'm going to tell you guys too, coming up, what is it? It's in July. The Road Racing Nationals are going to be at, up here at the Ridge.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
You need to go, you need to go see that.
Definitely.
There's going to be some cool stuff there. A guy named Dennis Critchley's there with his 250 supercart, and this thing is it's pretty amazing. But hey, did you see that video I had on Facebook of the shifter guy that was running the street race? Wasn't that the bomb?
Mm-hmm.
Dude was getting it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was really cool, actually. And then, how about the motocross guys with the sidecars that were jumping? Did you see that?
Yeah, those guys are just crazy.
Now
that's stupid. That's insane.
In a side, and there was a dude in the sidecar.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, not me.
No way. No way.
I'd rather ride in one of them little carts underneath a bridge beam than I would that.
Yeah, man, that's horrid. So, yeah, boy, great stuff, man. That was great stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry for the mic check 1-2 there for a minute, but Ripper, right on, man. Good to see you, Brian Williamson. Good to see Northwest Kart Dates here. Mr. Biddle and Worley, KB the Rocket, Ronnie Cox in the house, DW, man, Lori Fuller, the newly crowned. Oh no, wait, that wasn't a big deal. That's right. We said we were. So yeah,
and everybody saw my race dates that popped up this last week. I hope.
Yeah, why don't you pop those off? You got them?
I don't have them with me because I'm malfunctioning today. But 6 dates are up. Find them on our website or on my personal page on Facebook. I'm sure they're going to be hitting the club website too pretty soon.
And that's cascadekarting.org.
Yes. Go ahead and give that a whirl. Gate prices are going up this year. We were paying $5. We're going to be paying $10 to get in at the gate now. There is going to be a lot of good stuff coming. They are going to regrade the track for us. They're also talking to me about putting in a dirt road course. So we may even, it might not happen this year, but hopefully maybe by next year we will be able to do a dirt road course down there, which would be Wow.
Whoa, that would be wow.
That's what I'm saying.
A UAS kart on a dirt road course.
It would be pretty sick, I'm sure. And
Epic.
He's definitely thinking about that. So, yeah, and here's my dates. So the first race is going to be June 3rd. Second race is going to be July 1st. Third race is going to be July 29th. Fourth race is going to be August 26th. That will be the Betty. The following day, on the 27th, we will have a club race. And then our final race is going to be on September 16th. That'll wrap it all up for us down there. So come on out and support us. We definitely have to pay a lot more money than we've had to pay in the past. So I don't want to raise the prices up. I'd like to keep it the same as it has been. But if we are not making rent, something's got to give. I've got to sign a contract to get these 6 dates. So we have to make it happen. So please come support us.
Absolutely. And he said the key word, come make it happen.
Support.
Yeah, gotta have it. Support those that supporting you, and that's a big deal. Hey, congratulations to our champions, Becca Clark in the Junior 2-4 cycle. The Fart Carts, Richard Gooding, Joe Gibb wins KT Light. KT Heavy goes to the Kravitron. Dan Kravitz, Vienna Mott wins the Kid Kart. UAS, Anna Singleton gets the title. Super Sports, Dennis Flint. LO 206 Sumo goes to Mikey Clark. Greg Norman in the 206 regular. And King Kyle Kenan in 206 Light. And the Sportsman goes to Rusty Rossmeyer.
Nice.
So, congratulations to all those great champs. It's been a wonderful indoor. Don't forget, 2 days of racing this Saturday at Salem Indoor Speedway. It's the finale for the cage karts. I think I'm going to go down and mess around, take some videos, and screw around. So, come on out and support it if you can. And I'm sure they'd appreciate that. And we'll see you guys next week. Remember, if somebody's on the bottom,
hit the high side.
Please.
And always think.
Good night, everybody. Appreciate you.